The ticket for the last day of summer. Intro. Imagine a July morning in Savannah, Georgia. The kind where the air tastes like sweet tea, and the sun shows up early, bright, and proud. On Cedar Street stands a little white house, worn like a favorite sweater. Paint peeling, porch squeaking, chimes singing to the wind. That's where Evelyn Carver lived. For 30 years, she kept 2 rocking chairs on her porch, one for her, and one, always empty. Neighbors would ask why. She always smiled softly. Someone's coming home, someday. They nodded politely, because they knew the truth. No one had come for a very, very long time. Not since her grandson Luke had been taken away at age 10. Shipped to Chicago with his father after the accident that shattered the family. Phone silent, letters unanswered. And so, every year, on August 31st, the last day of summer, Evelyn bought 2 bus tickets from Savannah to Chicago. One for her, one for Luke. She placed them in a metal cookie tin in her dresser, a quiet shrine of hope. But she never traveled, because she feared the only words she would hear would be, "I don't remember you." So she waited, and grew old. The tin grew full, and her heart grew tired. Story. Summer 2007. Evelyn was 64, body worn by arthritis, hands trembling from age. Still, she woke every morning before the sun, sweeping her porch, watering the marigolds Luke once planted. Talking to the rocking chair beside her. Her family was gone. Friends faded. She lived like a lighthouse, solid, shining, but lonely. Then one night, she dreamed. In the dream, she stood at the Savannah bus station, and there, through the glass doors, she saw Luke, older, taller, wearing a military uniform, hand pressed to the window, eyes full of words he didn't say. She woke with her heart racing. The next morning, she decided, "Today, I'm going." She dressed slowly. A soft blue dress embroidered with daisies, her Sunday shoes, and around her neck, a tiny silver compass Luke once gave her, so we always find each other. She packed 3 things: a photo of Luke at 10, holding a red kite, her last 2 bus tickets, and a tin of warm cornbread, just in case he'd forgotten the taste of home. The bus station was loud, kids crying, suitcases rolling, voices overlapping like river water. Evelyn felt like a stranger to her own world. "Where are you headed, ma'am?" asked the young clerk at the window. "To find my grandson." The clerk smiled like he wasn't sure whether to be hopeful or tender. "Someone picking you up?" "Yes," she said. "He always comes." But she wasn't sure if she believed it. The journey. The bus rattled like an old tin can. Evelyn held her ticket tight as if it were Luke's hand. Hours passed. Fields, towns, silence. She prayed barely above a whisper. Let him remember. Just enough. Every minute felt like a lifetime she was borrowing from her body. Night fell. The bus rolled into Chicago. The city glowed, bold and different, a living thing that owed her nothing. People rushed off the bus, families hugging, voices rising, plans being made. Evelyn stayed seated, last to stand. She stepped into the terminal. No Luke, nobody waiting, just the hollow buzz of fluorescent lights. Her heart sank, but she didn't leave. She sat on a cold bench near gate 13 and dialed a number she memorized years ago, never brave enough to call. 1 ring, 2. A voice answered, older now, deeper, worn by life. "Hello?" Her breath caught. "Luke. It's Grandma." Silence. Noise in the background. Traffic, wind. Then, "Grandma, where are you?" "You're in Chicago?" "Yes." A shaky breath on the other end. "Don't move. I'm coming. I'm coming right now." The line went dead. She waited. Minutes felt cruel. Her fingers trembled. Her heart, a drum. She pressed the compass against her palm. Then she saw him. A tall man in uniform, running, not walking, running. His eyes, the same soft brown. His hair, wind-tossed like when he was 10. "Grandma." He dropped his backpack and wrapped her in his arms. A hug that felt like 30 years, collapsing into one breath. She smelled grass and soap, just like when he was small. "I thought you'd forgotten me," she whispered. He pulled back, eyes bright with tears. "Forgot you? Grandma, I came every year, August 31st, every summer, to Savannah, to that bus station. Her heart froze. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a thick bundle of faded tickets, every one printed with the same date. "Every year I waited," he said, voice shaking. "But you never came." She stared, speechless, as he placed the bundle into her hands. Her knees nearly buckled. They had both been waiting, both traveling, but never crossing paths. Two souls orbiting the same hope, but never colliding. "Why didn't you call?" she asked, crying. "I did," he whispered. "Every year, but I was scared you wouldn't want me." They stood there, two broken clocks, finally striking the same hour. Luke wiped her tears. "Come with me. Don't go back." "Not yet." Ending. 2 weeks later, Luke took leave from base. He brought Evelyn back to Savannah, not to leave her, but to take her somewhere new. Back at the little house on Cedar Street, Luke helped her pack a single suitcase. He sat on the porch and gently pushed the empty rocking chair. "I think," he said softly, "it's time this chair came with us." Evelyn laughed. A warm, tender laugh she hadn't heard in her own throat in years. He loaded both chairs into his truck. She took one last look at the marigolds, the faded paint, the place where she had waited half her life. She whispered, "Thank you for keeping him safe." Luke held her arm as they walked to the truck. "Grandma," he said, voice gentle but firm, "it's still summer. Let's spend the rest of it together." They drove toward the horizon, chairs rattling in the back, Hope riding shotgun, and somewhere between Georgia and Illinois, as the sky turned gold, Evelyn closed her eyes. Not to sleep, but to remember that she had finally arrived at the place she'd dreamed of all those years. Not Chicago, not Savannah. Home, because home was never a house, or a bus ticket, or a rocking chair. It was Luke, and this time she wasn't letting go. Luke drove through the night. The old highway stretched ahead like a ribbon of possibility, dark, wide, endless. Evelyn rested her head on the window, watching telephone poles swing by like slow heartbeats. For the first time in 30 years, she wasn't waiting anymore. She was moving. Luke hummed to the radio, a quiet country song, something about coming home after too many years. His voice wasn't perfect, but it was warm, familiar, like a song she'd always known. They crossed the state line at dawn. The sun rose behind them, painting the whole sky peach and gold. Evelyn hadn't seen a sunrise from anywhere but her porch since she was young. It felt new again. She reached over and placed her hand on Luke's. He squeezed back, easy, instinctive, like he'd been waiting years for that moment. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Someplace quiet," he said, "where time can catch up to us." He wouldn't say more. He just smiled. The cabin, by noon. They turned onto a dirt road, trees arching overhead like a cathedral. At the end of the path, on a lake still as glass, stood a small cedar cabin. Windows open, curtains dancing. A dock reached into the water like a welcome handshake. Luke parked the truck, helped her out gently. "My mom used to bring me here," he said quietly, "before everything happened." Evelyn felt her chest tighten. She never knew her granddaughter-in-law well. She was gone too early, but she'd always hoped the woman had given Luke some good memories. Inside the cabin, the air smelled of pine and summer. Luke set the rocking chairs on the back porch, side by side, overlooking the lake. Evelyn laughed through tears. "Never thought I'd see this chair leave Savannah," she whispered. "It goes where you go," he said. Unsaid things. Days passed like soft waves. They cooked simple meals: cornbread, peach jam, fried catfish. Luke taught her how to cast a fishing line again. She hadn't done it since she was 30. Sometimes they talked for hours. Other times they said nothing at all. It was enough just to sit near each other. At night, they played cards on the porch and listened to crickets argue in the grass. Luke told stories from the army, the funny ones and the ones that made his voice quiet at the end. Evelyn told him about every August 31st, how she bought 2 tickets, how she stood at the dresser holding them, never brave enough to go. "I thought if I never tried," she whispered, "I couldn't fail." Luke placed his hand on hers. "You didn't fail," he said. "We just didn't know how to find each other." The letter. One morning, Evelyn woke early. Pain ran up her legs, sharp, unkind. She dressed slowly, feeling her body more clearly than usual. Its weight, its age. Luke made coffee, strong and sweet, and they sat outside. "Luke," she said softly, "I need to tell you something." He turned, eyes calm, open. "I'm tired," she admitted, "but not of living. Just tired." He nodded once. He understood more than she said. She reached into her bag and handed him a sealed envelope. "What's this?" "Something I wrote, years ago." She chuckled. "When I thought I'd never see you again." He hesitated. "Do you want me to read it now?" "No," she said. "When I'm gone." Luke swallowed hard. He placed the letter in his pocket, hand over his heart. "Not yet," he whispered. "We still have summer." The last day of summer. The weeks drifted by like petals on water. August warmed the lake, and cicadas filled the air with buzzing. On the morning of August 31st, their shared date, Luke found Evelyn sitting by the water, wrapped in a quilt. She looked peaceful, like someone listening to a distant song. "You're up early," he said, smiling. "Couldn't sleep," she answered. "Didn't want to miss the day." He sat beside her. They watched the sun lift over the trees. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Luke nodded. After a while, she leaned her head on his shoulder. And just as the sun broke full and bright, Evelyn exhaled, a slow, grateful breath, and didn't take another. Luke stayed still. He didn't cry at first. He just held her, rocking gently, like a child comforting a mother. Then the grief came quietly, like rain. He lifted her into the rocking chair and wrapped her quilt around her shoulders, so she looked like she was only resting. The lake was glass, the sky endless. After, in Savannah, Luke returned to the little white house. He fixed the peeling paint, planted new marigolds, hung fresh chimes. He placed Evelyn's rocking chair on the porch, her favorite spot, now facing the road. The other chairs stayed beside it. Neighbors passed, placing flowers on the steps, sharing stories of the woman who waited for love and finally found it. Luke opened the envelope only when he was ready. Her handwriting was small but steady. "My sweet Luke, if you're reading this, it means summer was kind to us. Thank you for finding me. I spent 30 years afraid you didn't remember me. I was wrong. Love doesn't forget, it just waits. Wherever you go, take a chair for me. I'll be sitting right beside you. Always, Grandma Evelyn." Luke folded the letter and placed it in the metal cookie tin. And every August 31st, he bought 2 bus tickets, one to Savannah, one to anywhere. He kept one, left the other on Evelyn's chair. Sometimes strangers took it, sometimes no one did. Didn't matter. It was his way of saying, "I'm here, come find me." Because he knew now what Evelyn had always believed. The heart never stops traveling toward the people it was made for. And those 2 rocking chairs, side by side, never sat empty again. One held Luke, the other always held her.